My sister-in-law's husband revealed that she had cheated and that her daughter was not his biological child during the welcome party for the new family member. After years of attempting to grow our family, my husband Brian, 40, and I, 39, recently adopted a 10-year-old girl named Stee. She is truly amazing, full of inquiry, kindness, and a quiet strength that inspires me. The entire process was difficult and emotional, but from the moment we met her, we knew she was the missing piece. We were excited to provide her with a caring home and grateful to have her in our lives. To officially welcome her, we hosted a small party for close family and friends. We were ecstatic, and because this was such a significant occasion for our family, we wanted to make the day extra special for Stee. We went all out with decorations, balloons, banners, and more, even ordering a cake with her name on it. We wanted to make sure Stee felt appreciated, accepted, and loved. We invited our entire family, including my sister-in-law Betty, 35, her daughter Violet, 7, and her husband Zane, 35, who is also my cousin. Betty is well known for indulging Violet so much that she is referred to as the family princess. Betty has always been very attached to Violet, lavishing her with care and making sure she is the star of family gatherings. She enjoys bragging about Violet's accomplishments, no matter how modest, and frequently advises that Violet be the focal point of our gatherings. Betty frequently becomes visibly sad when Violet is not the focus of attention, so we've all learned to show Violet some extra love to keep Betty happy. When I told Betty about our adoption and Stee's welcoming celebration, she was quite annoyed. Instead of praising us, she said something like, "So Violet won't be the only family princess now," before abruptly changing the subject. It was a bizarre response, but I assumed it was just jealousy that will pass. However, over the next 2 weeks, Betty began making small remarks that made me anxious. She'd say things like, "It'll be difficult for Violet to share the spotlight," or, "Not every kid knows how to be around a real princess." It felt like she was implying that Stee didn't quite measure up to Violet. I decided to let it go, figuring Betty just needed time to adjust to the fact that Violet was no longer the only grandchild. I considered holding a more low-key celebration, but I ultimately decided it was more important to make Stee feel unique and included. Finally, the big day arrived, and everything was just perfect. The decorations were stunning, and our home was filled with family and friends eager to meet Stee. Brian and I were overjoyed to see her so happy and relaxed around everyone. It felt like a fresh start for us all. When Betty, Zane, and Violet arrived, I instantly noticed Betty's awkwardness. She forced a grin, avoided eye contact, and stared at the decor with disappointment. In contrast, Zane was ecstatic to meet his niece. Despite Betty's unusual behavior, I attempted to maintain a pleasant attitude and focus on ensuring Stee's enjoyment. Betty's actions grew more noticeable as the celebration progressed. Whenever someone complimented Stee, she'd respond with something about Violet. For example, if someone admired Stee's politeness, Betty would respond by reminding everyone how nice Violet had always been. If someone complimented Stee's clothing, Betty would proudly proclaim that Violet had been dressing like a little princess since she was a newborn. It was unrelenting. She would not allow Stee to have her moment in the spotlight. The worst part was when I noticed Betty gathered with a few others in a corner. I could hear fragments of their conversation, and it was evident she was talking about us. Betty was saying things like, "Some folks just do not know how to raise a true princess," and "It takes a special kind of parent to really nurture a child." It hurt to think that Betty would go to such lengths to undermine our efforts to make Stee feel loved and included. Just as I was about to face her, something unexpected occurred. Zane, who had been relatively quiet all night, suddenly rose up and requested everyone's attention. I was taken aback. I expected he'd make a toast or say something good about Stee. Instead, he released a bombshell that had everyone dumbfounded. Zane delivered devastating news in a calm but strong tone. He revealed that he had learned Betty had cheated on him years before with one of his buddies. After considerable investigation, he discovered that Violet is not his biological daughter. He added that he had just recently accepted this and had been suffering with it for some time, but after witnessing Betty's behavior at the party, he felt compelled to speak up. He said that he was going to file for divorce and split, but he would still be there for Violet if she wanted him in her life. The room became utterly silent. Betty's face turned pale, and she was left speechless. She stood there motionless, as if she didn't understand what had happened. After a moment, she turned and fled out of the room, her face a mix of amazement and panic. Zane quickly followed, leaving everyone stunned. The rest of the party went silent, but we were able to refocus on Stee and enjoy the night. I felt a sense of comfort as I saw her grin, blissfully unaware of the familial drama that had just occurred. Despite everything, she had a terrific day, and it felt like our little family was finally coming together in the way I had always wanted. Betty has not contacted anyone since that night, and the family is torn over what happened. Some believe Zane did the right thing by standing up for himself and confronting Betty, particularly given her actions at the party. Others believe he should have kept it more private. A few family members have even indicated that I should not have had such a large welcoming party, given Betty's view of Violet as the family princess. They suggest that my actions may have prompted Betty's outburst and the subsequent family conflict. This entire affair has left me feeling torn. On the one hand, I planned the celebration to honor Sty and express her affection. On the other hand, I can't help but wonder whether I should have anticipated Betty's reaction and been more mindful of her feelings for Violet. I'm conflicted because I don't believe I should have to tone down a celebration for Sty simply to make someone else feel better. Sty deserves all of the joy, and we will not apologize for it. However, Brian and I have stated unequivocally that we will not fund her legal bills or anything else, and we intend to stay to that position. Now we're attempting to figure out how to deal with Betty's demands. Part of me wants to explain why we aren't paying and establish hard boundaries. Betty's marital problems are not our responsibility, and it is inappropriate for her to blame us. But another part of me believes it would be best to ignore her and concentrate on our family, allowing Betty to solve her own mess. Our top priority is Sty's pleasure. Hello everyone, I'm here with another update on what's been happening since my last post. Things have definitely picked up. Sty is doing wonderful and adjusting well at home, but I've noticed she's been a little quieter lately, which has me concerned. Zane recently reached out to us. He has been trying to digest everything that has transpired, but he wanted us to know he has our back and is concerned about Sty. That meant a lot, especially given the havoc Betty had created. Betty then escalated the situation by openly accusing Zane of being a poor father on social media, claiming he was leaving Violet during this difficult time. It was startling and only added gasoline to the family conflict. Many people defended Zane, which was encouraging, but it also demonstrates how far Betty has fallen. She even felt compelled to encourage both Zane and Sty. Brian and I decided to step in. We talked to Zane and agreed that he should take measures to clear the air concerning Violet and Betty. He deserves to tell his story and shield his kid from the consequences of Betty's conduct. In the midst of all this upheaval, it tears my heart to see Sty retreat. She is beginning to believe it is her fault, that if she had not entered our lives, Betty and Zane would not be experiencing these difficulties. It is difficult to watch her struggle with such intense emotions. Brian and I are doing our best to tell her that none of this is her fault and that our feelings for her remain unchanged. As we work through this difficult circumstance, I sincerely hope Betty understands the repercussions of her actions. For the time being, our first concern is Sty's health and ensuring that she feels safe and loved in our house. For the time being, our first concern is Sty's health and ensuring that she feels safe and loved in our house. Post 3. It's been approximately 4 months since my last post, and it appears that Betty is still dealing with her drama, as things are just growing worse by the day. So, remember how she accused Zane of being a bad dad? Yeah, about that. She stated he was leaving Violet during this hard moment. It was completely ludicrous, especially given she was the one who dropped Violet off at his apartment and then abandoned her. Yes, Betty just left Violet on Zane's doorway and vanished. Betty went completely offline for a few days after leaving Violet with Zane. Everyone was naturally concerned about what she would do next. Zane was panicking, nervous and frantic as he tried to contact her and find out where she had gone. He was concerned about her mental health and what it meant for Violet, who was still adjusting to everything that had transpired. Betty reappeared unexpectedly. Kind of. She sent an SMS that shocked us all. She was on vacation with the man she had an affair with and claimed she had run out of money. She asked Zane for money to help pay her trip, stating that she was having a good time but needed some financial assistance. We couldn't believe it. The audacity. It was astonishing that she had the audacity to beg for money while she was enjoying pleasure. Zane was furious when he read the message. He couldn't understand how she could forsake their child and then ask for money for a trip. It simply demonstrated how careless and inconsiderate she was towards her family. When Zane mentioned her message, it was clear she was in denial. She tried to act the victim, saying things like, "We don't understand how difficult this is for her." It was silly. She'd made her decisions, and now she's distorting the story to portray herself as the martyr. Zane didn't hold back. He informed her she was being selfish and irresponsible, and urged her to prioritize Violet's well-being before her own desires. He also indicated that he was speaking with a lawyer concerning custody and child support. This was a significant step for him, and he realized he needed to make a stance. The more they talked about it, the clearer it became that he needed to create boundaries to guarantee Violet had a stable environment going forward. Zane made it plain that he was not going to let Betty's erratic conduct interfere with Violet's life anymore. It was difficult for him, though. He wanted to give Betty a chance at being a decent parent, but her actions showed she was uninterested. She seemed more concerned with her own image and wants than with Violet's needs. On the other hand, Zane adored Violet and would go to any length for her, but he felt pressured by his family to consider Betty's views. He realized he couldn't put Violet's safety at risk merely to keep things running well with Betty or anyone else. During a family meeting, Zane was able to open out about his situation. He explained how difficult it was to accept everything and how he was attempting to be the father Violet needed. The chat provided some clarity for the family, and they began to comprehend how serious the situation was with everything going on. It felt like we were all bracing for the next big shock. Betty's unpredictable behavior put everyone on edge, and we couldn't help but wonder how far she would go to maintain the upper hand in the situation. Zane ultimately decided to proceed with the custody process. He thought it was the greatest option to provide Violet a stable home away from the havoc Betty was causing in their life. It was a difficult decision for him, but he knew it needed to be made. As we worked to disentangle this complicated family drama, it became evident that Betty was fully responsible for her conduct. She was the one who caused the problem and made the decisions that led us here. While we all hoped she would eventually realize her faults and seek assistance, we couldn't allow her to dictate how we moved ahead as a family. Stie has been a lot quieter since the family drama started. She appeared enthusiastic about her new life at first, but the tension with Betty and the pandemonium surrounding Zane had a bad effect on her. She fears she may have caused the problems between Zane and Betty. It kills my heart to see her like this. We have tried to convince her that none of this is her fault and that our feelings for her have not altered. We want her to feel safe and comfortable despite the commotion around her. Hopefully, Betty will come to her senses and stop subjecting the entire family to her drama. Update 4. Hi everyone, I haven't posted in a long time. I'm back with another update, and things have taken a severe turn. It's been a roller coaster, but I'm relieved to say that Zane has officially earned custody of Violet after everything he's been through with Betty. This feels like a tremendous win for him and, more crucially, Violet. I won't get into the legal technicalities because, frankly, I don't understand anything, but the main point is that Zane has Violet's custody. Let's look into what's going on with Betty. She has been losing control since the ruling. Instead of taking a step back and reflecting on her decisions, she has embraced the victim mindset. It's actually quite bizarre to behold. She has been shouting on social media about how unfair the court was and how Zane manipulated everything to take Violet away from her. It's as if she's in her own little world, with her as the main character, and it's just insane. She has even attempted to rally family members behind her cause, believing that if she can get enough support, everything is possible. Spoiler alert, it did not work at all. Most of us have just chosen to ignore her. Please, we are over her drama and do not want to be dragged back into it. It feels wonderful to have taken that decision as a family. One especially embarrassing moment occurred when Betty showed up uninvited to a family gathering. She barged in and demanded to speak with Zane. The tension rose as she began ranting about how unfairly she was being handled. Instead of getting caught up in her craziness, Zane politely requested her to leave. It was a watershed moment for him, and the rest of us stood with him, supporting him. Betty's behavior has remained relatively consistent since then. She lashes out, seeks sympathy, and then withdraws into her own mess. Each time she does this, she distances herself further from her family. We can all see the pattern. She thrives on attention and drama, but we are no longer providing her with either. Zane has remained focused on Violet and her needs. He understands that engaging in theatrics will throw all he is striving to construct for their daughter off balance. Instead, he has worked tirelessly to establish a caring and supportive environment for Violet, which is exactly what she requires after everything that has occurred. Betty's attempts to elicit a rise out of Zane have completely failed. She has been sending urgent texts and blogging about how cruelly she has been treated, but it is clear that her family has opted to simply ignore her. It's almost comical to watch her collapse while we focus on creating a safe atmosphere for Violet. Violet is doing quite well considering everything that has occurred. Zane is ensuring that her needs are addressed and that she feels safe at home. The contrast between Betty's chaotic existence and the steadiness Zane provides is remarkable. It's wonderful to see Violet thrive in her new surroundings. Betty's downward spiral has led her to isolate herself even further. She has lost connection with friends and relatives who are tired of her drama, and it is difficult to see someone you once cared about struggle in a similar way. But we all know she needs to accept responsibility for her actions, and we will not allow her mayhem to interrupt our lives any longer. So that's the current position. Zane now has custody of Violet, and as Betty continues to lose it, we are all focused on providing a loving and stable environment for her kid. Sadie is finally feeling better following her custody struggle with Betty. Sadie was at first unhappy and concerned that she was causing issues for the family, but now that Zane has custody of Violet and things have cooled down, she feels more secure. We have worked hard to provide a caring and joyful atmosphere for her. She is becoming more interested in family activities and talking up about her emotions. It is wonderful to see her smile and hear her joy again. Sty has also stepped up as Violet's big sister, helping her feel more connected to the family. Their friendship is growing deeper, and it's wonderful to see them support each other every day. Sty is learning that it's all right to be happy even when things are difficult. We are committed to ensuring she feels loved and happy, and it is evident that she is beginning to accept her new existence. Update 5. Hello everyone, it's been 6 months since the last update, and I'm here with another one, hopefully the last. Okay, let us get right into it. Betty was extremely distressed over the custody judgment. She was venting on social media, hoping for sympathy from anyone who would listen. It was clear she was struggling with losing custody in her upcoming divorce from Zane. Then, out of the blue, she contacted us and requested a meeting. We were all hesitant at first, given what had happened. Meeting her felt like a horrible idea, but after discussing it as a family, we decided to give her a chance. We thought it was critical to hear her perspective. Zane agreed to meet her, but made it plain he would not be drawn back into her chaos. We chose a cafe for the meeting. Betty immediately got in once we sat down. She began talking about how she couldn't bear the notion of losing her daughter. She continued saying she was going to change, that she was committed to being a better mother, and that she recognized how her actions had affected Violet. During the conversation, Betty became upset and shed some tears. She spoke of loneliness and how everything had pushed her to her limits. She continually stated that she did not want to lose either Violet or Zane. Zane was upfront with her, stating that he could no longer trust her. He highlighted that Violet's well-being was his #1 priority. She tried to persuade him they could work things out, but it was evident he had already made up his mind. He thought that the only way to protect himself and Violet was to move forward with the divorce. That is when it struck her. She had not only lost custody of her daughter, but also her final chance to save her marriage. Betty's voice grew noticeably quieter following our meeting. It seems that the truth of her situation was now setting in. The weight of her decisions weighed hard on her, and while it was a difficult revelation to swallow, I hoped it would inspire her to make serious changes. I wanted to believe she could stand up for Violet, but there was still distrust among us. Only time would tell if this new perspective was a passing fad or if she was actually committed to making an impact. In the following weeks, we noticed some changes in Betty. She began reaching out more, inquiring about Violet and expressing a desire to become more active. Zane, however wary, decided to give her some room to demonstrate her seriousness. He wasn't ready to accept her back into their lives right away, but he recognized that Violet deserved to have her mother around if Betty was truly committed to making great changes. We were all apprehensive, but we also had a glimmer of optimism that Betty was genuinely attempting to change her life. Violet, for her part, appeared a little bewildered. She periodically inquired about her mother and how she was doing. Zane answered intelligently, making sure to confirm Violet's feelings without setting her expectations too high. Zane once sat down with Violet and had an open chat about her mother. He said that Betty was working on making improvements, but they might take some time to become obvious. Violet missed her mother despite everything that had happened, and it hurt my heart to see her struggle with this. As the weeks passed, we noticed some positive changes in Betty. She started attending to therapy and tried to put her life back on track. She even contacted several family members in an attempt to restore the relationship she had separated herself from. While she impressed me, I couldn't help but feel suspicious. Zane, on the other hand, was primarily concerned with providing Violet with a stable home. He was really stepping up as a father, spending meaningful time with her and ensuring she felt loved and safe. They began a new pattern consisting of family dinners, game evenings, and weekend outings. It was wonderful to see Violet begin to relax and appreciate the good things in life again. Her current circumstance was vastly different from the chaos of the past, and it gave us all hope. However, Betty's path was not without difficulties. There were instances when she reverted to her old habits. She once sent Zane an irregular text in which she expressed her dissatisfaction with their visitation plans. It seemed like a step backward, and Zane had to tell her that he was doing his best to balance her needs and Violet's. When that happened, we could see Zane's stress level rise again. He was working hard to improve Violet's circumstances, and Betty's actions appeared to be undermining that stability. He took a step back, reminding himself not to get caught up in her drama and instead focus on what was best for their kid. Despite the ups and downs, Zane remains steadfast in his devotion. Violet's well-being remains his #1 priority. I admire his determination and how he has reclaimed control of their life after so much turmoil. It has not been easy for him, but he has shown great strength. Violet appears to be adjusting fairly well. Sure, she still worries about her mother, but she's learning that it's good to have fun even when things are bad. It's so lovely to see her laughing and playing again. We are all doing our best to create good memories with her, and it is clear that she is responding favorably. Betty's adventure, on the other hand, is a little more exciting. Some days, she demonstrates genuine potential, such as when she contacts Violet to inquire about her welfare. It appears like she is attempting to move her focus away from her own problems and toward her kid, which is a positive indicator. Still, we all know she has a long way to go before she can be a reliable presence in Violet's life. Betty recently indicated a desire to be more connected with Violet, and she appeared sincere about it. It marked a significant departure from her previous behavior, in which she frequently prioritized her personal wants. Zane is still being cautious, but has agreed to allow her some visitation time, based on her commitment to make meaningful changes. Betty appears to be making an honest effort, and it's difficult not to be optimistic about her future change. I want to believe she can be the mother Violet requires and deserves, but we're all trying to keep our expectations under control. And what about Stee? She's doing fantastic. She's an amazing angel. She has been there for Violet during this time, and everyone in the family adores her. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.